Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey as he takes a look at some of the biggest shows on the WWE Network.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Joey Harris, and we are broadcasting from makeshift studios in the shadow of South Central Virginia. You can follow the show's Twitter at Cup of Joe Pod, email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. You can support the show at paypal.me/cupofjoepod. I am on Cash App and Venmo at the Joey Harris. And folks, trying to get caught up here with it being my busy time at work, as you all know, longtime listeners know. I do want to take the opportunity to mention a couple of people that have passed away since I last recorded. Kevin Sullivan, just the amount of tributes that came in for Kevin Sullivan, you all know, and everything that he has done for wrestling over the many decades. And I'm thankful that while the occasions around it, first his misfortune with the accident and then his passing, that these were the times that he was quote unquote getting his flowers, that finally though he is being recognized for the great things that he did in booking and wrestling for so many years. I'm just thankful for that. So rest in peace to Kevin Sullivan. And also a guy I became interested in, never saw anything wrestling related that he did, but I was interested in it after reading the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, The Heels book, and that's Beauregard, who did time and wrestled up in the Pacific Northwest specifically, and he had this thing where every week, if it was Bastille Day, he would come dressed like something. If it was Columbus Day, he'd come dressed like Columbus, and so on and so forth, just reinventing himself, as well as, and I know the prototype video that they did for it was on YouTube for a while. I need to go. He released this song. He might have released an album. I know he at least released a single, Testify, that is not bad. And so just our thoughts and prayers go out to his friends and family and fans on the loss of Beauregard and also Kevin Sullivan. Today we look at the March to WrestleMania 10 special from the WWF. The March to WrestleMania 10 was shown on USA on March the 13th, 1994. It was recorded February the 21st and 23rd, 1994 from the Poughkeepsie and Loch Sheldrake, New York. We start out with our intro. Vince McMahon and Johnny Polo welcome us to the March to WrestleMania. They talk about Randy Savage being banned from the building and throw it to Gorilla Monsoon and Stan Lane, who run down some of what we are going to see. Jimmy Del Rey with Tom Pritchard and Jim Cornette versus Lex Luger. Luger gets a tremendous ovation when he comes out. Del Rey backs off. Del Rey with a side headlock. Luger with a shoulder block. They get it again. A USA chant goes out. Luger with a clothesline. Luger with a press slam. Luger goes for the forearm, but Del Rey ducks and Luger spills to the outside. Pritchard attacks Luger on the floor. Luger thrown back in, and Del Rey drops some knees on Luger. The USA chant goes out again. Del Rey attacks Luger in the corner. Pritchard attacks Luger in the corner while referee Earl Hebner admonishes Del Rey. Del Rey with a flurry of offense. Pritchard and Del Rey do the same attack again. Del Rey attacks Luger yet again. Del Rey with a gut-wrench powerbomb for a 2 count. Heavenly Bodies keep the double team going when the referee is distracted. Del Rey goes for a moonsault, but Luger moves. Luger with a back elbow. He hits a backdrop, knocks Pritchard off the apron, and hits a clothesline. Luger hits a power slam and gets the torture rack to get the win. Cornette tries to attack Luger from behind, but gets caught. Luger gets the racket and hits Cornette. Cornette goes and gets Yokozuna, who comes out with Mr. Fuji. Officials make Yoko and company leave. Bam Bam Bigelow with Luna Vachon versus Ben Jordan. Bigelow kicks Jordan out. Jordan gets back in and Bigelow gets a nerve hold and a suplex. Bigelow puts his head down after an Irish whip and Jordan kicks him. Jordan with a barrage of punches. Bigelow comes back with a sidewalk slam. Bigelow with a side headlock and a headbutt. Bigelow with a corner whip, but Jordan moves on the charge. Bigelow hits a hot shot to get the pin. We then get a feature on Alundra Blaze. Vince and Johnny talk about WrestleMania and then talk to Tatanka taking on Yokozuna later. He says he is ready, and he comes with the pride of his ancestors. Razor Ramon versus Tony DeVito. They lock up and Ramon pushes off. Another lock up and push off. Ramon with a hammer lock. Ramon with a fireman's carry takedown into an arm lock. DeVito with a drop kick. Ramon chops DeVito in the corner. He tosses DeVito out of the corner. Ramon with an abdominal stretch. He hits a second rope belly-to-back suplex. Ramon hits the razor's edge to get the pin. Johnny Polo is in the ring and brings out Owen Hart. The crowd boos Owen when he comes out. A giant "We Want Bret" chant goes out. Owen says he is gunning for Bret because Bret held him down all his life. He says Crush can beat Bret, but not hurt Bret too badly. Earthquake versus the Executioner. The Executioner tries to knock Earthquake down. Earthquake hits the clothesline. Executioner goes up top, but gets caught and thrown off. Earthquake with a belly-to-belly suplex and a leg drop. Earthquake with a sit-down splash to get the pin. WrestleMania report. Jim Cornette says Yokozuna will still be champion after WrestleMania. Johnny Polos interviews Bret about Owen. Bret says Owen is just another opponent, and Crush is all talk. Crush with Mr. Fuji versus Bret Hart. Crush and Fuji out first. Bret with a great ovation as he comes out. He does his sunglasses presentation. Slow to start. They lock up and Crush pushes off. Bret with a waist lock. Crush breaks the hold. He wants a test of strength. Bret hesitates. Crush gets Bret down. A Bret chant goes out. Bret reverses, but Crush gets to the ropes. Crush rolls out to regroup. Bret with a series of moves to get a 1 count. Back and forth. Bret with a back elbow to knock Crush out of the ring. They trade shots. Crush gets Bret down and attacks Bret's back. Crush with a series of blows to the back and gets a 2 count. Crush keeps the attack up. Crush with an armbar. Bret gets out. Crush with a bear hug. Crush throws Bret out. Fuji goes to attack Bret, but the referee stops it. This allows Crush to attack Bret to get a 2 count. They trade shots again. Crush with another 2 count. He argues with the referee, and Bret gets a roll up for a 2 count. Bret comes back with a bulldog for a 2 count. Bret with a side Russian leg sweep for another 2 count. He drops an elbow on Crush. Bret with corner mounted punches. Crush comes back with a backbreaker. Crush misses a diving knee. Bret goes for the sharpshooter. Fuji gets up on the apron. Bret goes after Fuji, and Crush goes to hit Bret, who moves, and Fuji gets hit instead. Bret with an inside cradle. The referee is tied up with Fuji, allowing Owen Hart to come down and reverse Bret, and Crush gets the pin. The Quebecers Jacques and Pierre versus PJ Walker and Mike Bell. Walker and Bell with the early advantage. Quebecers roll out to regroup. They take over on their opponents as Captain Lou Albano comes out and looks at the Quebecers. Quebecers totally dominating and get the pin on Walker. Vince McMahon talks to Randy Savage. He has been banned from the building. Savage says he had Yokozuna beat if it weren't for Crush. He says he is going to get Crush and get his dignity back at WrestleMania 10. He talks about his divorce and being stabbed in the back by friends. You didn't hear a lot of real-life stuff like this in 1994. Tatanka versus Yokozuna with Mr. Fuji and Jim Cornette. This is a non-title match. Yokozuna knocks Tatanka down. Tatanka tries to come back. He hits a flying body press for a 2 count. Tatanka comes back, but Yokozuna gets a knee to knock Tatanka down. Yokozuna with a nerve hold as a USA chant goes out. Yokozuna slams Tatanka down and goes back to the nerve hold. He then throws Tatanka out. Yokozuna removes the turnbuckle pad. He then throws Tatanka down and again goes back to the nerve hold. Tatanka comes back. Yokozuna with a clothesline. Tatanka runs Yokozuna into a turnbuckle. Both men down. Tatanka covers Yokozuna for a 2 count. Tatanka starts the war dance. A chop knocks Yokozuna down for a 2 count. Yoko hits a belly-to-belly suplex. Yokozuna then hits the bonsai drop to get the pin. Men on a mission do a WrestleMania wrap, and they rack up by plugging WrestleMania. Final thoughts. Not a bad show to set up WrestleMania. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TheJoeyHarris. If you like the show, please leave a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred podcast app. I would really appreciate it. We can also be found on Spotify and YouTube. Just search for The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Thank you for joining me this week. This is Joey saying so long from the heart of Virginia.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.